angels and dragons and demons and dogs and elder giants? Oh my!
Only shooting stars break the
Hello everybody and welcome to Brawl Stars! I'm Amy the Amazonian and today I am playing Kroxa and Kunoros. You might remember these two separately from Theros. You've got Kroxa, who's an elder giant who can come back from the graveyard, and you have Kunoros, who is a Cerberus dog who stops things from coming back from the graveyard. Really, the dog part is just giving us the keywords of Vigilance, Menace, and Lifelink. This is a 6-mana 6/6 with a lot of power behind it, but it also has an incredibly good enter the battlefield and on attack ability, which lets us reanimate cards. When it enters the battlefield, if we can exile 5 cards from our graveyard, we can then bring back another creature. The creature can't be part of the 5 cards exiled, but you can end up bringing back some really good stuff. So while I was building this deck, I started out with some ways to put cards in the graveyard, things like Stitcher's Supplier in black, things like Thrill of Possibility in red, and then I realized enter the battlefield, bringing out big creatures. Who does this remind me of? It reminds me of Kaalia of the Vast, who is my first ever commander and one of my favorite commanders. Now, you can't play her in Arena, but we do have Kaalia Zenith Seeker here. So this deck is actually a themed deck. It's angels and dragons and demons because they're the biggest, scariest flyers that you can put into a deck. Really, it started with Griselbrand and Avacyn and Sarah's Emissary, these incredibly good, expensive cards. You can't ramp that well in Mardu colors in red, white, and black, but you can cheat things into play. You can reanimate things. You have a good amount of reusable reanimation through both Kroxa and Kunoros. You can even put in other mass reanimation or repeatable animation cards like Olivia, Rise of the Dark Realms. These are all very, very good cards with Kroxa and Kunoros, but I actually found that the all-star in this deck is no more than an orb. An orb which we can ponder, the Mesmeric Orb. We untap, we get tons of things in our graveyard, we play our commander, and we bring them back. So you can see up here, I just put in a slew of some of my favorite dragons and demons and angels. I have some cards that help me fill up my graveyard up on the high end too, and some things that double as reanimation. We have some really fun things. I also did put in some Elesh, Norns, and Sheoldreds because they're good. I didn't put in too much of the good, but I did put in a good amount of good because, shucks, it's a reanimation deck, you may as well. So Kaalia of the Past, I'm sorry, Kroxa and Kunoros is a heck of a beater and a really fun deck. So we're going to take it into the queue and we're going to reanimate every single creature we can. Oh, his bones are so small, it's Tiny Bones! Tiny Bones likes to make us discard, and you know what we like? Discarding, because it puts things in our graveyard for us to bring back. Sometimes it's good to have things in your graveyard because you're a Reanimator deck that requires having like 6 cards. Hi, Thoughtseize. I think that they'll end up dropping either Magda or our land here. Either way, I think that there's some good picks. Yep, they went for Magda, and that's perfectly fine. Here comes Savai Triome. And here's Tiny Bones! Oh, hello, Tiny Bones and your small bones. I actually think that we could just Swords to Plowshares this. We could wait until their turn to try and get them to make us discard first. But I'm impatient, so I'm going to do it now. That gives me 2 cards in the graveyard. Graveyard Trespasser going to exile, I assume Magda. It's going to drain me for 1. How rude. Black Market Connections. This is going to let me pay up to 6 life each of my turns in order to get treasure, card draw, and sometimes 3 2s. They're shapeshifters, so they're everything I want them to be. Angels and dragons and demons, oh my. What's better than being one of those if you can be all 3 of those? T-Bones coming out. Graveyard Trespasser really ruining my game plan here. It is smart, though, to have a good graveyard exiling when you're playing something like this. And I'm going to pay the 6 because there are a few things more fun than paying the 6. It's really, really fun to pay the 6. Sheoldred? Sheoldred sounds good. We'll go ahead and get this Fabled Passage out. I'm gonna crack it, and I think grab either a black or white source. Let's go with a black source. There it is. And I could go for Faithless Looting. If I do, then they will draw a card, because Tiny Bone triggers in either player's turn. They have drawn a card! And the card they drew was Kill. Power word Kill. They'll be able to exile that from my graveyard, but unless they can also kill my Shapeshifter. Ooh, a discard for Amy? I'm gonna discard Faithless Looting, and then I'm gonna discard Temple of Malice. There goes Shelly. But there goes the Trespasser too. Stop eating my graveyard. I love paying the 6. Now, it is dangerous for me to go below 10 because of Tiny Bone's activated ability, but I'm a brave girl who believes in having fun and playing to our own strengths. Also being kind of silly. It's fun to be silly. Now that Tiny Bones isn't on the battlefield, I'm going to go ahead and get this Crucius out. Crucius I'm going to use to discard my Priest of Fell Rites and grab something that costs more. A big score does cost more. We have 4 cards in a graveyard. We have a Reanimator, but nothing to reanimate yet. Arcane Signet, but it hurts to cast. And we're going to be going down a little bit on this Black Market Connections, probably just making treasures or drawing a card. I'm just going to draw a card on this turn. Hello, Loran. We'll destroy that Arcane Signet. Then we'll plus. We already have enough stuff here.
I'm tired of your secrets.
Swing in. And, you know, I could just Faithless Looting here. Directly put 2 cards in a graveyard and hope that they don't play something like a Bajuka Bog. I think it's worth the risk, and it's worth the fun. Here comes a Faithless Looting. We draw 2 cards, and we drop 2 cards. Oh, one of those was a portal! Rankle can make both of us draw, both of us discard, and just deal a lot of damage to my face. I think what they'll do is they'll go for the draw card, because it will put me to life. Okay. The discard doesn't do much since my hand was empty. We can only pay the 1 here. Looking at who we've got. Gonna do a little bit of quick math here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Times 2 is lethal. Kroxa and Kunoros, would you like to come out and do the honors? I think you would. We're going to get rid of these 5 cards in order to bring out Aurelia, the War Leader. We swing in, we untap, and then we do the whole rigmarole again. Yeah, let's go, let's go. That's a lethal swing. From the cusp of death, we rise. I've been facing off against a lot of Vorinclexes today. Now, I don't know if it's because people saw my Vorinclex deck and said, oh, what a big chunky boy that is. I can't wait to play him. I love how he has reach. Or if maybe just everybody came to the conclusion of, oh, wait, Vorinclex is good. It's very possible. So, Vorinclex, still a big boy. Still got trample, reach. He's a 5-mana 6/6, gets you some lands, and he's a very cool payoff for ramp and having big creatures in your deck, since it can reanimate just like we can. Gonna throw down this Dragonskull Summit since it will come in tapped. This will come in untapped next turn. Hello, Esper Sentinel. Paradise Druid and Esper Sentinel gonna face down against each other. Start with a Bitter Reunion. Putting Elesh Norn into the graveyard and drawing 2 cards. Cave of the Frost Dragon comes in tapped, and I'm gonna swing in here since I don't think they'll block. And I'm not planning on blocking them either. Tribute to the World Tree. You pay the 1. They do. Okay. That's fair. We can go for Liliana here. Or we could... Big Score. Big Score gets me closer to this, but I think Liliana is just kind of cool. I'm gonna swing in with Liliana. If we get a land, we can play it. Ah! A land! Perfect! Temple of Triumph lets me scry. See to the top of my deck. It's Shelly Belly. I'll take a Shelly Belly. What's better than 1 Praetor? 2. Also, if we get this down before they play Vorinclex, we'll be disabling that enter the battlefield ability to get land. I feel like they could just play it this turn, though. Yep, there's Vorinclex. Coming out, being big, being chunky. What kind of forest would you like to get? Gingerbread cabin. Gingerbread cabin. Don't you want to get a gingerbread cabin? They did it. They got the gingerbread cabin. Sometimes you just call them like they are. This is also just like a really cool card to have in Vorinclex because it is a forest and it gets you food. So if you're hungry like me, like a wolf, woo, you're going to be rewarded for it. We have a really good turn next turn, though. We have Reanimation. And that Reanimation brings back Elesh Norn. Oh, it also fills up my graveyard. So, here's a Liliana. Liliana, bring back the zombified Elesh Norn, Grand Cenobite. Shrink that Vorinclex down to size. These two do not get along. They are not friends. Liliana swings in for 6. She exiled a Concealed Courtyard off the top. And now we are left with an extra chunky Esper Sentinel. Do you pay the 1 turns into... Do you pay the 3? And Elesh Norn, who is shifted colors a little bit since she was brought back by Liliana, Death's Majesty. Do you pay the 3? You can't pay the 3. We get to draw a card. Didn't even go for free food this turn. They've got 2 more mana, gains them 2 life. That's not enough to get Vorinclex to break through this line. If we play Elesh Norn, they won't be getting card draw off the Great Henge or +1/+1 counters. So I think they're considering, they're thinking. They're wondering, how do I get out of this Elesh Norn-shaped pickle? Actually, Vorinclex is shaped more like a pickle. It's the green. He just feels kind of cucumbery to me. Alright. Tribute to the World Tree also would be disabled by Elesh Norn, medium-sized Elesh Norn. I think they're just considering concession. Is there a way out? Do I have a big enough fight spell? Do you have a big enough fight spell? No, they have a Blizzard Brawl, though. Blizzard Brawl does not kill Elesh Norn, but if they have another fight spell, that's just a Deadland or Elf. Nice. I mean, it's an Elf that draws them a card. Liliana? I'll sacrifice my Esper Sentinel to keep Liliana alive. I don't know if I had, like, a potential lethal swing this next turn. I'm not doing the math. That's not what I'm here to do. We're gonna swing in. I do have a way to, like, give things haste. That's why I was wondering, do I have a potential lethal swing? And the answer is yes. I definitely did. But I don't need to, so I won't. Mire Triton. Mire Triton actually can make Liliana bigger, right? No, it's only things leaving my graveyard. Exiled from the grave. Sheoldred. I don't need to disable them drawing cards if drawing cards causes them pain. Yeah, had I played Sheoldred or Elesh Norn first, used Bitter Reunion for haste, it would have been a lethal swing. I'm not doing math. I'm busy trying to talk silly things about this pickle. I'm sorry. Praetor. Pickle Praetor. They flip over Vorinclex. They're looking to get a very strong reanimation here. Of the 2 cards they milled, I see Carnage Tyrant, Elder Gargaroth, and Beanstalk Giant? Now, those are some big creatures, but they're not going to be big enough. Good game, Vorinclex. Nicol Bolas, the Ravager. He makes us discard, which we kind of like. Nicol Bolas the Ravager is usually a Grixis control deck, but since it has a creature-based commander, you can run a lot more creatures in this deck. Things that have strong enter the battlefield abilities. Hostage Takers, Gaunty, and the like. And they're chopping down that Esper Sentinel because it deserves to die. It did draw me a card, though, so... Replacements! Hooray! Soken'Zon coming down, and since I don't have any black mana in play yet, we're going to name black on our Coldsteel Heart. They're ramping too, though. They've got the Guardian Idol, and we're going to put eeny, meeny, miny... Glorybringer in the graveyard. Glorybringer cannot hit dragons with its ability, which is kind of garbage if you ask me. I'll play Kaalia of the... Not Vast. This is Kaalia Zenith Seeker, and she whiffed! There were no angels or dragons or demons in my entire top 6 cards. Well, that's embarrassing. Also, Kaalia is dead. That's embarrassing. But those are just more cards in my graveyard for Kroxa and Kunoros to use. I'm gonna swing in with Liliana, see what she gets. If it's a land, we can play it. Nope, it's Elesh Norn, Mother of Machines. Mommy? Sorry. Mommy? Sorry. Teferi, Master of Time, Hour of Devastation, and Confront the Past. I guess they can use that to reanimate Teferi? Hour of Devastation is a board wipe. They'll be able to bring something back with Eldest Reborn anyway. Kind of a race of reanimation here. Each opponent discards a card. This one! You should destroy my Liliana. For no reason. Alright, Teferi, Master of Time is brought back. They draw, they discard. As it is, I can also just use Kroxa and Kunoros to exile my entire graveyard. Since right now, we do have some decent targets, though, I kind of want to just Unburial Rites. That's just more fun. So we're going to Unburial Rites. They did this right before combat, so I'm going to grab Kaalia. You can have my Glorybringer. And she whiffed again! Kaalia, I'm disappointed in you. Very disappointed in you. I promise that there are dragons and demons and angels, oh my, in this deck. There's so many of them. Where are they? No. You don't deserve this. You should play Hour of Devastation, though. Oh, they don't have double red. They can't anyway. Hi, Nicol Bolas. Would you like to reanimate? Would you like to draw? Would you like to deal some damage? You're drawing. That's cool. Checking out what's in my hand, and we're going to combat. Bringing in our damage. Monkey! Ragavan, join me in glory! That is not another red source. Kaalia, though, I'm kind of mad at you right now. Glorybringer, dealing the damage to our Doom Whisperer. That tells me that they would like to cast Hour of Devastation, or that they have some other removal. I'm not blocking, though. I'm just gonna block with Kaalia. Now, you might have another form of damage against the board. Hero's Downfall. I want to pay life. I'm filling up my graveyard. Come on, give me something good. That's fine. I bet we could do better. They do have a blocker on the ground, this Guardian Idol. And we have bringing things back. Okay. Going to swing first. Liliana and Nicol Bolas, Ragavan at face. Who do you block? The Lalia or the Ragavan? Time for some monkeying around. Ah, Storm's Wrath, huh? That destroys that. Also destroys my things, which I'm, like, a little less hyped about. Kroxa and Kunoros. Make Lele a little bigger. Boop. 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 Who do I want to bring back? I kind of want to give Kaalia one last try. Kaalia, I believe in you. Thank you. I got Sarah's Emissary this time, guys. See? I did it. I did it. I did it. I did it. I don't care about your Hour of Devastation. I did it. I found Sarah's Emissary. There's more cards in my graveyard now. Okay. Hey, do you want to see something, like, really cool? Want to see something really cool? I could bring things back. I feel like I should just use the Unburial Rites, though. Boop!
Interesting.
That's a secret treat. For later. Kaalia, I believe in you. Kaalia? Don't do me dirty! Yeah! It only took like 6 tries. Mesmeric Orb mills us. If we wanted to kill Nicol Bolas, we could have reanimated Lalia pre-combat or Glorybringer to swing in. But I just really wish Kaalia of the Vast were in this game. I'm trying to pretend. I'm doing my damn hardest to pretend I'm playing a Kaalia of the Vast deck right now. Blood on the snow. They're killing my stuff. Oh, darn. Well, we're also gonna mill ourselves. But that's all according to plan. Oh, isn't that fun? Oh, isn't that pretty? Isn't that lovely? Isn't this nice? Away land. Named Red. I will untap it. A card just became untapped. Oh, is there anybody here I'd like to bring out of the graveyard? Maybe. Perhaps. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's gonna start with Aurelia. We're going to use her to take out Nicol Bolas. And then we're gonna vibe. I'm gonna set a little little end step stop over here, though. For no particular reason. Oh, nice counter spells in the graveyard. Nicol Bolas comes into play. We're going to discard Sarah's Emissary. Narset Part of Verus is going to stop me from drawing additional cards in my turn.
Open mind.
Crux of Fate. Hey, I've got dragons. I didn't feel like I needed to tap any extra here. Doot, 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 doot. Gosh, that's so satisfying. It really is. Here's Celestus. Kroxa and Kunoros. I think we should grab a dragon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And who do we reanimate? Glorybringer would be cute. Again, it cannot hit their commander. Avacyn would be cute. What if all my permanents were indestructible? What if? What if? Hey. Hey again.
Listless. Overwhelming.
You're milling, I'm milling. This is a thrilling milling time. If they can kill Avacyn first by exiling or bouncing, yep, then they'll be able to destroy my creatures. The exile card. Oh no! Oh no! I'll drop Avacyn. Bye, Avacyn! Crux of Fate, my non-dragons are dead. And we mill, 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 and we mill. Gosh, it's fun to tap out, isn't it? I love Mesmeric Orb. Oh, yeah! Kroxa's in this deck. Yeah, hold up. Hold up. We got a Kroxa here. What do you want? Black? Okay, so Terror to Peaks. Kroxa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pop their Nicol Bolas. Make them discard. They'll take an extra 3 if it's not a land. And they mill. Oh, do they ever. I believe I did see a certain midnight clock already go into their graveyard. Orb's putting in work. It's putting us both on a very cute clock here. Nice nightmare. I had a nightmare about something like this once. Burning Room Demon in the graveyard. Burning Room Demon can come back from the graveyard. Listen, if you're killing Kroxa, I'm just gonna bring it back. Sure. We mill. A thrilling milling time. Let's see. 6 plus 10. Do I have anything that's 10 power? I don't think I do. 7. Darn. But I do have protection from creatures. So this is still a lethal attack. It's not as cool. Good game, Nicol Bolas. The Ravager. Crucius, Titan of the Waves. I've got that card in this deck because it is amazingly good, and it plays in well into multiple strategies, treasures, reanimation, ramp. It really does do it all. Crucius, Titan of the Waves. Thankfully, I go first, and I will be able to kill it on the turn it comes out, or I should say exile it on the turn it comes out. Crucius discards cards in end step, makes a treasure, and then gets you a card that costs either more or less than the card you cast. This adds up into quite a bit of value, and I could keep up that Swords of Plowshares, but I'd rather destroy their Coldsteel Heart. Their heart is broken. And Lorraine is just like, oh, what a nice artifact. Crucius comes down, and they will get to discard here. Let's see what they throw in their graveyard. They dropped the Bloodchief's Thirst, and they asked for something that costs less, which to me means they wanted lands, and they got lands. I could also go ahead and give both of us some card draw here. I want to see what I get. The Undead Butler. Fill up my own graveyard. Oh, hi. I don't know if you saw that, but there's a Crucius, a Griselbrand, and a Goldspan Dragon in my graveyard now. All rather adequate cards. Yes, they're just fine. We have 4 cards total in our graveyard, and we're gonna need 6, 5 plus 1, in order to start bringing stuff back. Kayla's Kindling. They can deal 2 damage, and they'll be getting a strong spell during each of their turns, but they have to cast it during that turn. Glorybringer just gets me some damage. Unburial Rites lets me bring a boy back. And what boy is better to bring back than Griselbrand? It's fun. I'm gonna draw the cards now, by the way, so I can discard. This is intentional. Perfect. If we wait until our opponent's turn, then we don't have to discard. Concealed Courtyard because it comes in tapped. Do I want a board wipe? Glorybringer. I'll drop Glorybringer. Godless Shrine. A board wipe. Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Oh, I selected 5 instead of 3. Fine, fine. Glorybringer, you can stay. Godless Shrine, you can stay. I just think they're neat. So they're going to see 3 cards from that spellbook. They get to choose one, and if they want to cast it, they have to cast it on this turn. And that's a nice one to get. It's Young Pyromancer. Young Pyromancer spits out tokens. Can help them defend their board and build it up bigger. And a lightning bolt. Goodbye, Butler. Would I like to return a creature from my graveyard to my hand? Yeah, alright. This one. If they have a way to make me sacrifice my remaining creature, I feel like that's what they're setting up for, then Griselbrand will be Griselgone. Oh god, I really want to pay the 7 again. Really want to pay the 7 again. Do you ever have this problem where, like, you roll greed? Is that just me? Is that just me? I know what I like. And it's having too many cards. Now, none of the creatures on this battlefield are giants, but I would have to pay some life if I want to use Realm Cloaked Giant. I'm not too scared at this very moment, so I think I might go for a cheekier move, a cheekier maneuver here. I'm gonna get out Caves of Koilos. I'm gonna play Terror of the Peaks. Esper Sentinel. Boop. This lets me deal 1 damage to the Young Pyromancer. And it also gives me a Terror of the Peaks. Oh, I should have played the Sprite Climb pathway. I didn't even see it. I'm gonna drop Sarah's Emissary, Loran, land, Lelia, Glorybringer, that's 7. Alright, Glorybringer, you're back. Okay, looking great. Looking great. Sometimes you just really want to pay the 7. It's fun! It's fun to activate Griselbrand. The card they got was Lightning Bolt. They can use that on my face. It hurts. Okay. I don't know what's going on, but I don't trust it. Crucius! And Lightning Bolt! They take 3 to deal 3. Fine with me. And now that I have put a sufficient number of cards into my graveyard, let's do Kroxa and Kunoros things. I'm just double checking what colors are being left up. Yep, that's fine. I'll be able to play the monkey. Kroxa and Kunoros! I'm going to exile 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And who do we want to bring back? Yeah. But I'm gonna go for Sarah's Emissary. I'm gonna choose Instance. Here's a monkey. I like monkeys. Good monkey. I like this card. It's almost like it's one of my favorite cards. I've got my Aurelia the War Leader ready to take some extra combat steps next turn. Extra combat means more monkey. Tailless Kindling, if they get an instant, and a lot of these cards are instants, especially some of the bigger ones. Some of the other ones are not, like Crackle with Power, that's a sorcery, Banefire. Looks like they grabbed an Unexpected Windfall. That's going to let them set up their graveyard, They do have a nice graveyard already. But there's no bolting my face allowed today. Arcane Bombardment! Nice! That's going to be recasting instants and sorceries from their graveyard. But they got to kick it off by casting an instant or sorcery. So this is Crucia's spells. That's kind of cool. A sorcery speed removal for Sarah's Emissary. Very nice. Gets them a lightning bolt. They probably don't want to cast that, though, because right now everything has protection from it, so they would have to bolt either themselves or Crucia. Oh, it's a May ability, right? Yeah, that's a May. Good to know I'm not crazy. But little do they know, we have lethal. Doesn't even matter because Aurelia the War Leader's coming out to play, and we're gonna get to activate Kroxa and Kunoros' ability. It triggers, and we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are gonna bring back. Yeah, protection from creatures. You can't block my monkey. We're serious here. No monkeying around. Only pain. Decline. I only have exactly 5 cards in hand. Yeah! Koth, Fire of Resistance. Koth is a powerful mono-red planeswalker who, as a commander, leads to some very scary things happening. I'm going to start my game out with a Temple of Malice. There's a Junji. Junji's pretty fine. I'll grab that. So Koth, Fire of Resistance, is able to come out early, has removal baked in, and is also able to win the game through its ultimate ability. I'm gonna go ahead and swing in with Ragavan here, just dashing it out. Ooh, the Ulamog, and buy Ulamog. It's so easy to get this to ult, and then the ultimate is just mountains equal death. Ragavan again, just gonna swing in. We are indeed monkeying around. Ooh, a Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I think that's worth the 3 life here. So I'm gonna bolt in Shatter Skull, get Fable the Mirror Breaker, and what I like so much about this is it gives me ramp and it gives me discard. So this is going to help me fill up my graveyard and get ready to hopefully handle Koth with Gart Fury. This is going to make it so as long as this is out, damage is not removed from my creatures. Discard up to 2 cards. Yes! I am going to discard Swords to Plowshares and Junji. Monkey time, monkey time, monkey time, monkey time. Monkey time. In we go. More monkey damage. To get a treasure, it was a land. And I'm going to Thoughtseize. And we're going to seize what they thought. There's an Emrakul, Slaying Fire, Kaya's Kindling, and Chandra. I'm going to hit the Chandra because at this point, that's really scary. This is instant speed removal, this is repeated removal, and this is Emrakul. But, like, we'll get there when we get there. For now, I have haste. I have ways to hit Koth and at least knock him down a little bit before he gets too scary. Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. I don't have a way to give that haste, but I do have a Goldspan Dragon, and I also have a Monkey. And I don't know if I would rather kill Koth or steal. So I'm going to kill Koth. This seems like the smarter thing to do. Ragavan back in hand. Kaya's Kindling can kill this or this, but if they target my Goldspan Dragon, I will get another treasure. Slaying Fire. Slain. Means I won't be making any token copies of it. And I can't make copies of any of these legendaries either. But, Kroxa and Kunoros getting ever so tempting. We could also get out Sheoldred, Aurelia, or any of these. I'm going to start with Aurelia. Aurelia lets me take 2 combats. But more importantly, she lets me hit twice with Monkey. And what is more important than life than twice the Monkey? We're going to be swinging for 7 twice. which is a lot of damage. Stealing 2 cards. Oh, goodness, how I love it. Thank you, Ragavan. We love you, Ragavan. What a good monkey. Aurelia is a fantastic finisher in this deck because she is difficult to deal with and can just pack a huge punch on the turn she comes out. Good game, Koth. Brutaclad! Oh, I want to build a Brutaclad deck. I have a way to destroy some early tokens with Deafening Clarion. Brutaclad is all about tokens. Turning tokens into bigger tokens, making lots of tokens, and oftentimes creating token copies of itself. Swords of Plowshares, while it's a great single target removal, isn't really what I'm looking for here. I need some creatures so I can bring some creatures back with Kroxa and Kunoros. Oh my gosh, exactly like you. Sometimes the deck provides exactly what you crave, like a Griselbrand. Young Pyromancer, currently a nice homie who can make elementals. I can just Deafening Clarion this now, and I think I will. Get rid of that before it starts making tokens. Avoid taking 2 damage next turn, even though I could have waited until my opponent started trying to build up their board. We're going to shock this in, and I'm going to go for a Liliana of the Veil. Plus, everybody discards. I'm going to start by putting the Sarah's Emissary into the graveyard. Ooh, Sublime Epiphany. Glad I don't have to deal with that. That's a big, scary counterspell. And an Obliterating Bolt. There goes my Planeswalker. Liliana of the Dead. Sorcery Speed. Want to go for that big score. Putting Griselbrand in the graveyard because I'd love to get a land drop this turn. Failed to do so, but I do have 6 mana, which is enough for my commander. Not that I have enough things in my graveyard to reanimate one of these sweet, sweet 7 drops. Oh my goodness. Wait a minute. 8 drop. Griselbrand costs 8. Nobody's ever actually cast Griselbrand, okay? Griselbrand is purely just a thing that shows up. Hello there, dwarf. Dwarven Mine. Dollhouse of Horrors. They're going to be able to reanimate creatures from their graveyard, like Young Pyromancer, using that, and turn them into tokens. That's a cool way to turn Brutaclad into a token as well. Here is a land. It is in play. And here is Sir Conrad, who's going to warily eye your graveyard and your ability to exile things from it and say, huh, that's neat. This will hurt both of us. It'll actually be great for me. Turn Conrad whenever a creature is put into the graveyard or removed from a graveyard deals damage. So you saw right there, I put Sheoldred into the graveyard. They took a hit. Coastal Piracy. Well, yo-ho. That's not a card I see very often. Young Pyromancer exiled from their graveyard. Sir Conrad, I guess, only cares about things leaving my graveyard, but that's kind of what we do here. I have 6 cards, so if I would like to bring one of these back, Griselbrand, I can. Do I want to? I mean, yes. 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 I'm gonna play Kroxa and Kunoros. And we're gonna exile 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to bring back good old Grizzy Bee. Hi, Griselbrand. Can I have some cards? Thank you. Alright, that's enough. Let's put some of those back into the graveyard. I'll throw Avacyn and Battlefield Forge into the graveyard. Conrad liked that. Role reversal! Change places! Okay, so they're going to get a Griselbrand. I'm gonna actually just overfill my hand like crazy so I can discard like crazy next turn. Wow, that's a really cool dwarf. Now they're doing the same thing that I'm doing. This is fun. I love this. Valdarin Epicure. I'm gonna take a damage. I have essentially a board wipe in my hand. Sir Conrad's like, board wipe, you say? Why, there's so many creatures out. There sure are, buddy! I'm gonna go ahead and play a Plains. Then play the Eternal Wanderer. Do you have a counterspell? Do you have a counterspell? Disdainful Stroke! They had a counterspell. Ooh, the tragedy. And I don't get to overfill my graveyard quite enough. If we mill 3 and we get a creature that we want to bring back here, Avacyn, then that could be very fun. Remember how this triggers on attack? It triggers on attack. Kroxa and Kunoros swinging in! This is going to be a play at some life gain. We're going to exile everything but Avacyn, and then we're going to bring back Avacyn. Yes, very good. Because we only have 6 damage here, I'll choose to kill the Voldarnik here. They'll gain 7, I'll gain 6. But the important thing is that Avacyn's back. I also have to discard. Which is fine because of the whole Kroxa and Kunoros thing. You know, just doing Kaalia the Bass stuff, attacking in and bringing out giant angels. I'm gonna drop some lands. Temple of Silence. Let's drop Doom Whisper. Actually, wait. 16. Undead Butler. Celestis. That's 5. Here comes Brutaclad. Now, Brutaclad's able to transform tokens into other tokens, such as this token. And these tokens, by the way, do get bigger with each copy because they're all constructs. I would love to kill that. And since these are indestructible, we're going to do our best on these blocks. But I don't think it's going to be enough. I believe I'm just going to be dead even with gaining this life. A beautiful way to die. GG, Brutaclad. Goro and Satoru. Another deck I'm hoping to build very soon. Goro and Satoru makes a dragon when you hit your opponent with a creature that entered the battlefield this turn. Now, sometimes that means ninjas, and sometimes that means hasty things, and sometimes that means double strikers with haste and ninjutsu, and wow, does that card end up doing a lot. I have a pretty slow hand here, so I'm just hoping they don't end up making too many 5/5 dragons before I can stabilize. 2 mana. A Swarm Saboteur. If this hits my face, they're going to be making me discard in the next turns when I cast Virus Beetle. This is a really great card to put back into hand using ninjutsu too, because you play it again and then suddenly more discard. They might just go for Goro and Satoru though, trying to play on curve. Making me discard, knowing I'm a Reanimator deck, could be something to want to avoid. Okay, no, they're fine with it. I'm going to drop Sarah's Emissary. And I could play Liliana of the Veil here, or I could play the Celestis. I'm going to go for the Celestis because I'm a champ with the ramp. We're getting bopped. Virus Beetle once again. Would you like to let me put more creatures in my graveyard for reasons? Yep, they're building up the board. I'm gonna drop Sheoldred this time. Just a Praetor and an Angel hanging out in a graveyard. Oh, and just me dealing 2 damage to all of your creatures. We have a couple damage-based and otherwise board wipes in this deck. Most of them trying to stay pretty low to the ground. Elder Dragon War, though, perfectly cleans up and leaves me with more discard so I can really fill up my graveyard. Valky, God of Lies, is going to hit Elesh Norn. It's the only creature I have in my hand. She's been exiled, and if they pay 5 mana, they can turn Valky into Elesh Norn. What do I want to discard? All 3 of these! Everybody in the trash! Ooh. Okay, Griselbrand. So I have only 5 cards in my graveyard, so this is not a good turn for me to use my commander. But I've got Terror to the Peaks ready to rumble! Excuse me, are you running counter magic? Right. Gorogoro and Satoru does have blue. So counter spells are a thing. And Wash Away is very much a counter spell you should expect to see in Historic Brawl, because it's kind of stupid. It should not be, but it is. Alright, Valky's coming in. Are they going to pay the 5 to turn Valky into Elesh Norn? They are. So they know I have a lot of enter the battlefield abilities. Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, Aurelia. Hey, Kroxa and Kunoros. We don't get the enter the battlefield ability. But you know what we do get? On attack. Something very cool about Kroxa and Kunoros is the fact that it can trigger multiple times. In fact, it can keep triggering. And since we know that they're a counterspell play in person, when they're tapped out, I'm just gonna get this onto the battlefield. Also, Kroxa and Kunoros is super good at attacking because it's got Vigilance and Menace, and it's a 6/6. It's got stats. Got stats for days, and we can even attack with it multiple times in turn, looking at you, Aurelia, if we need to. Gorogoro and Satoru. They can give themselves haste, but we have some very good blockers here. They're eyeing my graveyard, thinking like, oh, yikes. What does this person bring at Griselbrand? We bring back Griselbrand. Attacking once is never going to be enough for me, though. Here comes Aurelia. And here comes everyone. They could have kill spells as well, since they do have black, bounce, everything like that. So we're going to exile a Swamp, White Sun's Twilight, Liliana of the Veil, and... oh, I think they realized what's happening. By which I mean they realized... Griselbrands are happening. Oh boy, are they ever. Good game, Gorogoro and Satoru. Vivian on the hunt. Okay, Vivian. This is the Vivian who has a pod effect. She can sacrifice things in order to get more things. So I could go for a turn 2 Sheoldred or a turn 1 Black Market Connections, because I'm running a card that shouldn't be allowed in this format. Dark Ritual. I'm playing very, 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 very greedy deck though, so I feel like I've given myself an excuse to play it. Dark Ritual turns 1 mana into 3 and lets me play good old Shelly Belly. Shoulder the Apocalypse makes you take 2 whenever you draw and will gain me 2 life every time I draw. And what a way to draw. Black Market Connections. That's a great way to draw. Black Market Connections allows me to pay up to 6 life, make creatures, make treasures, and draw cards. So Vivian on the hunt, they're probably going to be getting some good enter the battlefield abilities because she's able to use this +2 ability to Birthing Pod. Get something that costs 1 mana more than the thing that they sacrificed and put it into play. I'm gonna go for the 6. We pay 6, but we're refunded 2 life. Making treasure to get more treasure. Typical gamer move. I'll swing in with both of these. And I'll use that treasure to get a gold or an arcane signet, since it does tap for 2 off of the the arcane signet costs 2, but this taps for 2 because Goldspan Dragon makes treasures good. Vorinclex with Reach! Hello, Vorinclex with Reach. That gets them 2 forests. I'm not speaking very well today. I apologize. And a Blizzard Brawl. They're indestructible. Wait. They're destructible Vorinclex. Fights my Goldspan Dragon. But it's not like it's going to be attacking in anyway. Just a couple Praetors staring each other down. Are you a Praetor or a hater? I currently have 2 cards in graveyard. If I wanted to put more in graveyard, I could have channeled Takenuma. I'm going to just get out Terror of the Peaks. This means that whenever I have a creature enter the battlefield, we're going to get to deal damage to any target. And I choose Gallagreeters right there. I'm going to swing in with both Sheoldred and Shapeshifter. Sheoldred does have Death Touch. Shapeshifter does not. They're down to 7. They're going to take another 2 here off Shelly. That'll get recovery. They're bringing back the Blizzard Brawl, and now they have 3 snow, so they are indestructible. If they target this, they're going to take 2 damage. If they target this, they'll be fine, and they do have a little bit of reach. But I have enough mana for Kroxa and Kunoros, so I feel like they're pretty dead either way. Sure, I'll take 7. I'll also take an extra 6, because I like to. Good game. Even a fog wouldn't save you now. Boop. Discard up to 2. Why, I'd love to. Kroxa and Kunoros enter the battlefield. 6 to the face. GG. Jadar, Ghoulcaller of Nephalia, makes a zombie whenever you don't have a zombie with decay. I have very little ramp here. I do have some way to put some stuff in my graveyard, but I'm still going to mulligan because I'd rather have 3 lands, and that's exactly what I got here. I also found some removal for their commander. Brotherhood's End. It can destroy all the little creatures on the battlefield. We're going to start with the traditional, the beautiful Stitcher's Supplier. What does she do? She puts things in the graveyard, and she's so darn good at it. I'm going to grab this Fabled Passage, and I'm going to get some white mana so I can have white mana. There it is. A Plains. Hi, I'm Stitcher's Supplier. Do you have a Fatal Push? You should Fatal Push this. Listen, I'm gonna kill my own Stitcher's Supplier anyway, because this thing puts so many goodies in the grave. Hello, Jadar, Ghoulcaller of Nephalia. That's a lovely zombie you have there. I'm going to swing in, Stitcher's Supplier. Going for the 1 entire damage, and everything we know and love is dead. That was great. Perfect. Essential. We now have 9 cards in the graveyard, which means we can reanimate any creature we'd like from the grave, such as Junji. We just have to get to 6 mana for Kroxa and Kunoros. Okay. So, Phyrexian Scrapyard is not an intuitive piece of tech in this deck, but it turns out it's actually hilarious. Phyrexian Scrapyard makes Phyrexian Scrapyards by discarding things. So we can fill up our entire hand, or just keep discarding Phyrexian Scrapyards using our Phyrexian Scrapyard. We can also use the sacrifice ability to get things out, but the big thing we can do is we can just keep putting more and more things in our graveyard so long as we have cards in hand. Phyrexian Scrapyard was a suggestion from my chat that in one of our pre-recording matches was just very funny. I think we made something like 12 copies of Phyrexian Scrapyard, a couple of them in play, but a whole lot of them in the graveyard. Hello, Evolved Sleeper. I don't mind this thing being out here, though it is going to get Death Touch. Oh, what a mighty little beast. And now it's time for the Cruelty of Gix. Cruelty of Gix is going to let me take a peek-see-poo at my opponent's hand and discard a creature or planeswalker from it. Chapter 2, we tutor. Chapter 3, we reanimate. Alright, so let's look at Chapter 1. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, what kind of thing do you got in your hand? Ooh, the Flesh Scourger and Sheoldred. They also have board wipes. Tendrils, wow, okay. I'm gonna hit Sheoldred because, though this thing can be played on 3 mana and it's quite good, it is also less scary than a thing that makes me sacrifice whatever my big boys happen to be. My reanimation is going to get a little hosed here. They have a Cling to Dust, So we have to be very mindful of that, or we can just watch our opponent concede because they tapped out, I think tried to draw land, and failed to do so. Oops. I was gonna get a Junji out next turn. Santiago is playing Vorinclex. I have an ability here to discard some cards from my hand, and hopefully we'll be able to get some extra lands here so we can play out some of these nice big cards. Let's keep this! Snow-covered forest, kami of bamboo groves. They're ramping, as Vorinclex does. This Vorinclex, by the way, is the one that grabs forest when it enters the battlefield, and also is generally a big, scary boy. It can flip over and turn into a saga that grabs creatures from the graveyard, makes things bigger, and then makes things fight. Nice. I did get some more ramp here. I got Plains and Chromatic Lantern, and they're ramping too. They got a turn 2 Siddle the Wild, so that's 4 mana already in play. I guess I'll go for the Chromatic Ring over the Replicating Ring over the Chromatic Lantern. This thing will start ticking up, and if we happen to survive long enough, then it will turn into more mana, more fun. Oh no. They can play Vorinclex. And something that's very relevant, Vorinclex does have reach. Yes, I am playing flyers in my deck. So many flyers. And Vorinclex has reach. Truly a tragedy. Vorinclex grabs 2 forests from the deck. I hope one of them's Gingerbread Cabinets, not. Oh, darn. Ow, rude. We have 5 mana. And I feel like we might want to just set up for the Eternal Wanderer next turn. I'm gonna get out Elder Dragon War, and I think Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is what I want to do. I'm going to discard Aurelia, Chromatic Lantern, and Blight Step Pathway. That fills up my graveyard enough that we have loads of tasty cards in there for Kroxa and Kunoros to munch. And this is also going to sacrifice itself next turn and get into the graveyard. Mind Stone, they're ramping. And once they get to 8 mana, they can flip over Vorinclex. Defiler of Vigor is going to discount their green permanents if they want to pay 2 life, and I bet they will. Now, do I want to get a Griselbrand into play? Do I want a Griselbrand? Or do I want to wipe the board? I'm going to start with this board wipe. I'm going to play the Eternal Wanderer. I'm going to -4, give them the Kami, keep my dragon. This way, I'm just upsetting that balance of big stompy things. And then... Oh, hey, Vorinclex. You're a little scary, huh? You give you so much mana. Wait. Why'd they leave? Oh! I can just exile this, and then it will never do anything. And I'll have a Griselbrand. Sweet. Catilda Dawnheart Prime. A humans commander. This lets them tap all of their humans for whatever color they happen to cost. This means that they're going to be ramping using their creatures. Well, I can ramp using my creatures too. Ragavan, Nimble Pilferer. Catilda and Ragavan both have 1 toughness and would trade if they happen to go together in combat. They could have some other removal for Ragavan, but if they don't, well, it's time to start monkeying around. I'm gonna swing in with Ragavan, see if they block. They're taking the 2 damage. I love that. And we have a Realm Walker here. Now I could play this Realm Walker. But that's probably not actually a smart idea. But I could play the Realm Walker. Nah, we're gonna go with a Crucius instead. Crucius comes into play, and he's gonna be letting me discard during my end step, Aurelia go into the trash, and we're going to get something that costs more than Aurelia. Ooh, something even stronger to discard to get into my graveyard for my rampant reanimation. Elite Spellbinder's gonna take a look at the cards in my hand and exile one of them. Elite Spellbinder makes my Signet cost 4, trying to disable some of my ramp. Fabled Passage. Go ahead and get themselves, I'm gonna guess, a Plains. No, a forest! They just wanted to prove me wrong. And they sure did. Do I want to start monkeying around a little bit more? I do. I'm gonna swing in with both Crucius and Ragavan, since Crucius is a huge target. They know I have this Avacyn, and they know any ramping that I do is going to be going towards this card. So they're gonna block Crucius. We're gonna exile the top card of the library. It is Esper Sentinel! Hey, I play that in my deck too. I'm gonna use up this treasure for Signet, and then use the Signet for Sentinel. Since we do have white in our commander's cost, we can tap this for white. Now, if they play any non-creature spells, they will be taxed. Ooh, nope. An Herbalist and a Militia Captain. Got a land here, and I feel like they're going to block the Ragavan this turn. How many cards in the graveyard do I have? Only 2? I know how we could change that. We can tap some of our things. I'm gonna swing in with Ragavan and just trade it with one of these. That gets it in my grave. Excuse me? We're not trading? We're not trading. We're not trading? I'm exiling Catilda because I think whatever they were going to do just cost a lot of mana, and they were going to tap these for mana. That's the only reason I could see that you would not trade Samite Herbalist for Ragavan. Yep, exiling the Catilda ends the game, because whatever they wanted to do, they needed her to do it. Good game. Vorinclex. He's big, he's green, he's mean, and he has reach. I'm gonna keep saying it until people have it memorized. Vorinclex has reach. This one does. None of the other ones do. We're gonna start out strong, though. We have a Ragavan in hand, and we may as well play him. Green, other than Mana Dorks, doesn't usually do that much on, like, turn 1. So we've got our Ragavan ready to rumble, and if they have a blocker, so be it. Maybe they'll trade, maybe we'll get in a hit. We have Monkey. Monkey is great because Monkey helps us ramp, and also can steal our opponent's cards. It looks like they didn't do anything here, so in we go. Ragavan steals the top card of their deck. It's a land, so we can't do anything with it. Well, that's a bummer. I'm going to use Bitter Reunion, and I'm going to throw Inferno of the Surmount in my graveyard. Why? Because that's what we do in this deck. We put cards in our graveyard, so we can bring them back. Creatures especially. 2 mana now. Perhaps a creature. One which I may exile. Wolfwillow Haven Note. So this is a enchantment that makes this land tap for a little bit more, but it does not stop me from hitting them with the monkey. And you know what? I'm just noticing there's a theme. Every time I make a red deck, I put Ragavan in now, and if I get him out on turn 1, we win. It's the law. You win the game. He's a good monkey. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Brawl Stars. As always, if you'd like to watch me record this live, you should come over to twitch.tv/Amazonian, where I stream Magic almost every single day. I've been having a blast with all of the cards from March of the Machine, and if there's a commander you'd like to see, you should let me know. By the way, Kroxa and Kunoros, I did do this Kaalia of the Past deck for it. I am planning on doing a second build of this deck eventually, which is just going to be purely how good can I make Kroxa and Kunoros? How good can I make Mardu Reanimator? Because I bet I could make it even stronger, though it would still share a lot of the same cards. I just really wanted to relive my favorite deck in Arena. If they ever bring Kaalia of the Vast to Arena, you know what I'm going to be doing, and it's cheating out Griselbrands. But I'm happy that I got to do this here anyway. Again, thank you so much for watching, and have a brawlful day.